In the first two episodes of this series, we review how, following a profound security crisis, Ecuadorian President Daniel Noboa declared war against criminal terrorism and mobilized the army, detaining thousands of people allegedly associated with the narco-criminal bands that plague the nation. However, these actions did not control the security crisis, and crime continued to grow. Furthermore, the emergency powers invested in Daniel Noboa are being used as cover to impose corporate interest and austerity measures. Questions about how this new Ecuadorian state of militarized corporatism deals with indigenous people and farmers who resist the taking of their lands were quickly answered.
What happened? Why are you crying? Some of our family members are down there. We got separated after they attacked us with smoke. That's what happened. What did they shoot you with? Smoke. They shot bombs at us. They chased us as if we were criminals, but they won't attack the criminals like that. They are scared of the criminals. But against the farmers and the people fighting for their rights and for our planet, then the cops are not scared.
Ecuadorian farmers and indigenous organizations are mobilized to fight mega mining projects that will destroy their mountains and pollute their rivers. At the same time, mining companies and the government act in conjunction, persecuting and repressing the people who exercise their constitutional rights to resist.
Blood has been spilled. There was a really violent repression by the Ecuadorian army. They're trying to perform a phony environmental and community consultation favoring the Canadian transnational corporation Adeco Mining.
We are cornered by the police. We are being treated as if we are criminals. We're just farmers who produce for ourselves and for the big cities.
After a peasant protest on Saturday, March 16, 2024, in the Palo Quemado commune, the government immediately sent the police and then the army to repress the peasants. As soon as the courts opened the next business day, the Ecuadorian government opened 72 court cases against the people who protest. We spoke with Tito Madrid, one of the many young leaders of the anti-mining movement.
It's not a coincidence that the strategy is launched on the legal level. There's also an offensive on the armed level from the state, and in parallel, armed paramilitary groups whose leaders have openly declared that they're aligned with the mining companies. We're not experiencing fascism because that has its own characteristics, and it's a very complex issue, but we see a trend towards that. It's clear. And regardless of the government that has held office, it has not stopped. For example, during the time of progressivism, 200 cases were opened against leaders, many of them linked to mining processes. But of course, the son of the banana magnate, the current president, has taken the honors, because filing 72 cases in a single day on one territory alone is something out of the ordinary.
72 judicial charges against the anti-mining resistance in one day, contrasted with 200 judicial charges in 10 years of Rafael Correa's government. These actions at the time divided the Ecuadorian left between the indigenous and anti-miners on one side and Correism with its social corporatism on the other. In fact, the consequences of this division have been evident in the last two lost elections. Mining companies are among the largest landowners. Working in conjunction with the Ecuadorian government, they occupy areas and take over, hiring locals who often lack land or businesses. These locals, now earning more money, begin to wield more influence and power. Eventually, former farmers and business owners realize they must either unite and fight, work for the mining company, or leave. Villagers continue to gather evidence showing how the police, the army, and the mining companies collaborate. For instance, in this video, police personnel are seen preparing to sleep at the company's local headquarters. One of the corporate mining groups that maintain good relations across all administrations, including Correism, is managed by Isabel Noboa Ponton, the aunt of President Daniel Noboa.
The most notable example is the Nobis Group. The main shareholder is Isabel Noboa, who has investments in Adventus Mining. So there are several actors there who are involved in this, who have a significant amount of concessions. and who, of course, are the owners of this country. That is to say, regardless of who becomes president, the Nobis group is betting on everything, financing everyone's campaigns. We just need to look at the photos. They have no problems posing for a picture with President Noboa or with Marcela Aguinaga, who is the president of the Citizens' Revolution movement.
One of Daniel Noboa's greatest virtues is uniting branches of the Noboa Ponton family that had bitterly separated. By obtaining the favor of his aunt Isabel, Daniel Noboa united a family collectively worth the inestimable amount of 1 billion euros. As reported about one of the young heirs of the family, soccer player Leonardo Campana. The article asserts that the Noboas, Campana's maternal family, are worth much more than Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, two of the greatest figures in world sports history. Now, that colossal economic power is bearing down on the humble families, resisting forced displacement and the destruction of the historic heritage lands.
Entonces esto ha avanzado, indistintamente del color del gobierno.
Repression has advanced regardless of the color of the government. So this is a state policy, just like mining. The first boost to industrial mining in the country occurred in 1995. Since 95, we've had 12 governments, which is why we say that this is a state policy. The closest thing to real power is state policy. So there's a concern, obviously, because the specter of terrorism at the legal level has the characteristic of taking resistance out of the margin of tolerance that these political systems have for the breaking of laws, and understanding that it's a political crime in the sense that it's committed for a cause, etc., and it places it in a crime practically of hate that will not be tolerated. So that is why the specter of terrorism is useful, because they eliminate the specter of political crime, the crime of resistance, if you want to put it that way. This is a breach of law.
Cybercrime, cyberbullying, and the spread of false information.
Daniel Noboa's government technically ends with the elections on May 24, 2025. His popularity reached a peak of 85%. But as the days pass, with the advent of unpopular policies, along with an uptick in crime, the popularity of President Noboa continues to fall. It remains to be seen if Noboa will manage to win this war against the cartel's foot soldiers, while he ignores the big international organizations. It also remains to be seen if the power of the media and economic groups manages to maintain the image of this corporate prince, who took power in such a sudden and absolute way, or if the progressive indigenous and peasant sectors manage to put their differences aside and present a common front capable of winning the next elections, an election that could define it all.